So don't start moaning when the war kicks off here and the natural disaster unfolds over here. Be proud of your story. You wrote it. I love you with my heart, with my soul, with every fiber of my entire being. How are you feeling right now, beautiful soul? So today's topic of discussion is one of the most fascinating. It's also a topic of discussion that is completely pointless. And you might think, well, how can you have such a fascinating but pointless topic of discussion? Well, it comes down to choice, and it comes down to the story. This game of life that we're living is like a movie. The story's already been written. And people say, well, you got all of these potentials in the field. I could walk out of my house today and I could go left. I could walk out of my house today, I could go right. Someone might sit there on their doorstep and think, should I go left, should I go right, should I go left, should I go right? And in the end they choose right. And they think that they made that decision. And in their mind they did. However, if the story was already written, then did they really have a choice? People decide to get married to this human being. They decide to go on this holiday. They decide to go on this adventure. They decide to start this business. People make all these different choices. People go into business ventures and they make certain choices and the business could explode into success. They could make another choice and the business could go down a deep, dark hole of despair. And the human being would look back and say, well, I made that choice and that's why I was successful. I made this choice and that's why everything went belly up. But did they really make that choice? If the story was already written. You're an alchemist, you're a wizard, you're a witch, you're a weaver of your own reality. Or so people say. But are you, if the story is already written? Now, we're never going to really know whether the story was already written, because you could go and say, well, you know what, today I'm going to make this choice to go and do that, which is something that I wouldn't normally do. But how do you know that piece was not written into the story also? If the story is already written and everything in the universal field is so mathematically precise, then there is such a thing called destiny. Now, the destiny may be pretty, the destiny may be ugly, but the destiny is what's written into the story. When you go through your life and you look back at your life, you look at all the different twists and turns and choices and events and things that happened, the people you met, the places you went, the places you didn't, the things that unfolded. And as you trace it back down the timeline, you see how everything worked out so perfectly. If it wasn't for going to meet this person, that wouldn't have happened. If you didn't get that connection, you wouldn't have been able to do this. And we think back down and look at it and say, well, you know, I made that choice and that's why that happened. But if the story was already written, did you really make the choice? This is mind-boggling when you really start to think and analyze it. That's why it's best not to. That's why it's best just to observe the situation, be in the situation, playing the game, playing out your very own story that you wrote, because you are the center of your own universe, right? You're a soul in a physical body that decided to come into this vessel and have this experience. Why? Because you wrote the story and you knew what was going to happen and you wanted to have that experience here in this human body. So you wrote the story down to the last letter. You dotted all the I's, you crossed all the T's, you brought all the right characters in just at the right time to make the journey the best it could possibly be. So you, as a soul in a physical body, could learn the lessons that you needed to learn. People say we have free will. We think we have free will. Maybe we do. But if the story's already written, do we? If you're reading a book and you get halfway through and 2 of the pages are missing, it annoys you because you want to know what was on those 2 pages. Now you could make those 2 pages up if you wanted to. You could create a piece of reality that slotted into the book and made the story flow. But it will never be the original story. If the story's written, you're just following a ready-made plan. But the game is clever. The story's clever. The story was written by you. So you weaved in this programming that gets people to think and feel in a certain way and to explore what we're exploring today in this conversation, in this message, to pose the question, did we really write the story? Do we really have a choice? Many will think that we do. Many will think that we don't. And in the story, there's no right or wrong. There's just experience. And that's what's so magical about writing the stories that we've written. Things can't go wrong. The experience simply unfolds and we play the character that we wrote ourselves into the story to be. Following the scripts, interacting with the other characters that we meet along the way on this human journey, on this planet that we called Earth. I mean, what a beautiful planet to write into the story. All of the chaos and all of the destruction, all of the things in this human world that we deem to be bad, not so good. You wrote them into your story. There must have been a reason. All of these so-called disasters and catastrophes, you wrote them into the story. So don't start moaning when these things happen, when the war kicks off here and the natural disaster unfolds over here. Be proud of your story. You wrote it. Don't moan about the story that you wrote. Take yourself out of the equation. Look in from the third-party perspective and see the lessons that your human vehicle, this vessel that your soul is residing in right now on this planet that we called Earth. Look at the lessons that this human vehicle is experiencing, that you're experiencing. But look at it from a third-party perspective. Observe the situation and look at how beautiful the story is. You couldn't have written it any better. I know sometimes when you're in the thick of things and you're like, why is this happening to me? Well, now you can just remind yourself, I wrote this blooming story, man. I wrote it. So let me accept the fact that I wrote it and let me enjoy it. All the ups, all the downs, all the twists, all the turns. It's just an unfolding of events from scene to scene, character to character. It's a trippy ride, man. It really is a trippy ride. To think you've never had one single choice, but all the time you thought you were making them. That's a crazy notion to wrap your head around. But when you go in here, deep into your heart, into the magic, into the fabric of your own inner workings, and you look at how you're engineered mathematically, you realize the truth. We wrote so many emotions into this story, so many experiences. We wrote all of these gadgets, all of these automobiles, planes. We wrote movies, we wrote music into the story. Aren't you glad that you wrote music into your story? What would you do without music? I always think about that when I'm journeying on ayahuasca or psilocybin or San Pedro. What would I do without music? What would we do without the frequency of vibration, sound, playing these musical instruments? Isn't it amazing that we wrote these physical vessels into the story so that they could be played like musical instruments by the frequency and the music that we also created? All of those great composers, artists, we wrote them into this story. It's a beautiful story. And you're the main character in your one. So when you wake up tomorrow, feel this, know this. Wake up fully and walk out into this human world with joy, excitement, wonder, full of courage, full of confidence, knowing you are a master wizard, a white witch, an alchemist, a quantum architect, fearless, ferocious, powerful beyond measure, and enjoy the ride. It's like going to a theme park, strapping up on the craziest roller coaster possible and going for it. Once it starts, there's no turning back, and you jumped into this story head first. You can't rewind the clock. So enjoy the ride. Make the most of every second. And I'll see you again real soon, beautiful soul. Remember to check out our website. We got some of the best ascension tools on the planet. Meditations, light language transmissions, cosmic yoga videos, nutrition, masterclasses, so much more, breath work. Check it out now at starmagichealing.org. You can get free access for 7 days to all of our tools. Check it out, see if you like it. If you do, continue. If you don't, we'll just love you on your merry way. Remember to be like a child always, dancing, be silly, have fun, go a little crazy, because you wrote that into the story also. It's a beautiful story. Just like you. I'll see you again real soon. One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out.